Hey there, we're checking in on the next episode of the Struggle Bus. This is Unit 13, a little review on the swine business here. So if we go back and look through the items that we tended to have issue with on Unit 13 in the swine section, a couple items rise to the top that I just want to drop a quick podcast and review those few things. Number one, we seem to struggle a little bit with feed conversion. And the question on feed conversion refers to basically how many pounds of feed does it take to put on a pound of gain in pigs. And so, the question specifically should draw your attention to those answers right there. And one of the challenges that we had on that particular question was a few of us maybe didn't quite understand what feed conversion is, or maybe didn't read all the answer options quite clearly enough. So the fewer pounds of feed that it takes to get a pound of gain on a pig equals the efficiency, and that's hence why we call it feed efficiency. So whenever you convert that, you're going to measure the pounds of feed and then measure the pounds of gain on the pig over that period of time, and that will give you that particular feed efficiency number. So the lower that is, the better. And in that particular question, I'm looking for the answer something less than about 2.5 pounds of feed. Pigs should almost always be less than 3 or 3.5 pounds of feed per pound of gain. And whenever we get up near that 3 number, 3 pounds of feed per pound of gain, then we're going to be really losing efficiency, and that would draw our attention to maybe a health issue or a ration problem that might be existing. Our second struggle bus item, we're still not quite grasping what the terminal cross, when we do rotational crossing and crossbreeding systems, what the terminal cross mating is supposed to do. And 100% of the time, if you use a terminal cross sire, all offspring, no matter male or female, are going to go to market. The terminal cross mating is simply meant for carcass traits. And production quality, production efficiency. So any of those offspring out of that particular cross are always going to go to market. So if you see that question again when it comes to the final exam here, all offspring out of the terminal cross sire should go to market all the time. The third struggle bus item that maybe we didn't cover quite as in depth in class as maybe we could have is drawing our attention specifically to rations, and more a level deeper than that, specifically to protein feeding and then amino acids. It's important to note that whenever we're putting together rations for pigs, it's entirely the amino acids that are the important piece of crude protein balancing in your ration. And because your gut absorbs the amino acid, not necessarily the protein itself, it has to be broken down into those specific individual amino acids. And as you know, amino acids make up proteins. We put together chains of amino acids, and that creates the proteins that are going to be in the diet. So lysine is the number one or first limiting amino acid in crude protein feeding for pigs, and therefore will always be the first one that must be balanced for in pig rations. So when you get that question, or if you get that question again, we're specifically looking for lysine. Pigs have a high need for lysine in their diet, and so you have to make sure when putting together a successful ration, whether it's sows or early young pigs or finishing pigs, specifically, we can really improve feed efficiency and average daily gains and decrease costs by balancing for lysine. Then the final struggle bus item here on this quick struggle bus podcast is the application of pelleting into the feed program. So when you look at the pelleting as an option, it's really, really cost effective to do it early on. And so specifically, we're looking at creep feed diets or starter/pre-starter diets. So those young pigs that you're maybe trying to get a lot of nutrients into a small package and make it very, very highly digestible, you really want to check into using pelleting at that point in time. Essentially, the difference between a pelleted ration and a non-pelleted ration is just simply the pelleting process, where you take the grind and mix or the basic formulation of the feed, add some heat and steam, and then force it through a pellet die. And that simple process of pelleting then makes the feed about 10 to 15% more digestible, and you can get a 5 to 15% increase in average daily gain and feed efficiency by using the pelleting process. The biggest return on your investment is doing that early on in the pig production process. So young pigs, pre-weaned to just weaned pigs most often. After that, you tend to start to lose some of the financial gain when putting together a ration as you get into like mid-life stage pigs or near the end pigs that are preparing to go to market. You tend to lose a little bit of that value whenever pelleting a diet. So you'll tend to find rations that maybe aren't pelleted or just simple grinded mixes. So the few struggle bus items there that I want to cover, hopefully that helps those of you who've completed this assignment and check into the Struggle Bus podcast here. Hopefully it's helped you out. See you in class.